A lot of families are on a budget, and so you probably go out shopping at garage sales for those kid items. Well, you want to be a little safe, and a person to help us out is Erica of Kid to Kid in Gilbert. And Erica, how are you doing today first?
I'm doing fabulous. Yourself?
Well, I'm doing pretty good because my kids are older, but I think you've been very busy because you are a secondhand store for families, which is so important. Again, tell people what Kid to Kid is about.
Sure. Well, Kid to Kid, we have 4 locations here in the Valley, and we help families save money by buying and selling gently used kids items so that parents have somewhere to bring their items when they're done with them and get a little bit of money for them, and then also allow other parents who need those items to have an option to buy the item safely at a less expensive price than new.
I like that. And you said something very important there, and that was safely, because we know that there are garage sales out there, and there are things you need to watch for, especially when you're buying gently used kids items out at these garage sales. So walk us through a little bit of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and at garage sales, I mean, I think the families are well intended and they just don't always know that the item that they're selling isn't something that should be resold. Here at Kid to Kid, we as owners will pay attention. In fact, we sign up to get alerts from the CPSC when items have been recalled. That way, if it's an item that we've already purchased, we know to go check our sales floor and make sure that we take that item off of the sales floor so that nobody buys that item. Also, when parents are bringing in their items, it is part of our process to make sure that we are not buying items that have been recalled, and also to look for particular things that we consider safety issues. Yeah. So the first step in the process is we will find the model number for the items, and this applies to equipment as well as toys and furniture as well. And so we'll take that model number, we'll look it up online, we'll make sure it's not a recall checked item. Then a lot of our items, we actually have specific checklists that our staff use to look for items that we know could potentially be safety issues, as well as to make sure that it's a good, legit item to be purchasing. So for example, with swings, there are certain swings out there that, based on the level of incline, are no longer considered safe to be sold. So we're making sure that we're not buying those items. The other thing with swings is they come with motors, and motors are not designed to last forever and ever and ever. And so we test the swings when they come in. And believe it or not, motors will behave differently depending on the amount of weight that's in it. So we actually even have our own little sugar baby that we use so that we have the weight so that the swing can behave the way it would when that baby's in the swing. Yeah. So we test it, we recall check it, and make sure it's working. Things that come with straps, such as booster seats for the chairs for them to eat on, we want to make sure that all of the straps are in good condition and that they have the proper straps. So stuff like this, you know, do they have the straps to restrain them to the seat, but do they also have the straps to restrain this to the actual chair that it's going to be on?
Yeah, and Erica,
things like hiking backpacks.
Yeah, Erica, I want to mention something about that too, what you just said, something important, because people might modify some of these items to fit their child that really takes off that warranty on them, and that's why it's important to know that it's all original stuff on there, right?
Yes, exactly. Original stuff, and that, you know, over time with the wear and tear, it didn't get so worn to where the item itself is compromised and no longer safe for the next child to use. Yeah. And to that point too, to make sure that items are still, you know, current is what we look for. So for example, like strollers, if they're going to need a new attachment for something, if that stroller is too old, they're not going to be able to find that attachment that they need. So we do have age restrictions on the items that we bring in for certain items, keeping that in mind. You know, if mom or dad needs to replace the particular part, will they be able to get that part, or is it too old and it's no longer manufactured? Yeah. So we keep that in mind too.
I like it. And
in Arizona,
Sorry,
what's that? I was just going to say, in Arizona, hiking is big, right? Yep, and I was definitely that. My kids are older now. My youngest is 6, so he does not go on my back when I go hiking anymore, as much as he would like. But when they were little, I was a big hiker, and I used backpacks like this. And so, you know, we know just from experience at Kid to Kid in the resale world, as well as, you know, from using the items, certain things like this, you need to make sure that the straps are in good condition. Arizona's heat will turn these things to dust very quickly. And again, that becomes a safety issue for the child, because a lot of those are meant to keep the child safely secured.
Yeah.
Then you have things like bassinets and pack and plays. One of the things that we're looking for with these, that if somebody's going to look at one in a garage sale, is making sure that they're looking at the netting. Okay, so netting, if you'll notice, these have little holes on them, and you want to make sure that none of them have started to rip or get too big. Little baby's fingers can get caught in there and then make the hole bigger and eventually cause other horrible events for that child. So again, you want to make sure, is the netting safe?
Yeah.
Bassinets are made differently. You want to make sure the spacing's there. You want to make sure all the hardware is in place. We'll see swings come in that are missing some of the screws that keep the pieces together because they had disassembled it when they didn't need it and put it into their closet. So there's a lot of little features that you need to look for to make sure that this item that you're purchasing has all of the original pieces and the things that make it safe, and that it hasn't worn itself out past its time.
Yeah, and so one thing that's also important too, I know we got to wrap it up, but I want to ask you very quickly about car seats, because that's something that all families are looking for, and they are at garage sales, but again, modified, making sure they're right.
So we actually don't do used car seats. So with car seats, if that car seat has been in an accident before, and this more applies to the infant car seats especially, it is recommended to throw that item out. And so if you don't know the person, I just say err on the side of it may have been in some kind of fender bender, and that item is compromised at that point.
So very important.
A lot of the like places that will take them, they essentially just throw them away. You know, like when some of the big box stores will say, hey, bring in your car seats and get a percentage off. They're essentially just throwing those items away to get them off of the market.
Got it.
So car seats was one thing that we actually don't recommend buying used at all, unless you know the person and you can verify that they have not been in an accident. A little different for the toddler seats. There's not as big of a concern there. We just find that the toddler seats that come in, I mean, I know I have boys. they definitely terrorize their toddler seats. So the booster seats and stuff, they're not in the condition that I could resell them.
Awesome. Erica, this is so important information. Let people know where they can find a kid-to-kid to come in and shop, or of course bring in their gently used kids items.
Absolutely. There's 4 items in the Valley. We're here in Gilbert. We also have Ahwatukee, on Tatum in Paradise Valley, and Peoria. www.kidtokid.com will help you find the location nearest you.
Perfect. Erica, thank you very much. And again, we'll have that information on aztv.com. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay.